You're probably all wondering why the Protheans are only just now being covered, but regarding that they don't physically appear often in the trilogy, they're an extremely important race which holds history into the Mass Effect universe. And history is pretty important, so let's review the Protheans. Being a bipedal mammalian race, the Protheans sport a distinct profile with their unique head shape. Their heads are rather angular compared to most other sentient species, and they also contain 4 eyes, similar to the Batarians. They also share many features with a few other species, such as the Quarians and Turians, namely in the number of fingers and toes. They have 2 fingers, 2 toes, 1 thumb. Seems to work out well enough for them really. Arguably the most intriguing attribute of Protheans' physiology is their ability to transfer complex thoughts and ideas through touch. A Prothean could, for instance, learn an entire new language instantly by simply touching someone who is already fluent. Now, we could theoretically be asking questions relating to privacy and personal space, but we're discussing history, not morality. Besides, that sounds like a lot of work. This practice of transferring ideas through touch carried over to Prothean technology. Through a special network of beacons, and sort of information could be directly streamed to and from the mind from across the galaxy. Even over 50,000 years later, some of these beacons were still found working. Move over death and taxes, beacons are forever. After the conflict with the hostile AI, referred to by the Protheans as the Metacon War, the Protheans enjoyed a period of history where they were free to expand and explore. Aside from continuing their own advancements, much of this time was spent studying the primitive species that would one day rise up to become the dominant races of the galaxy. They aided the progress of those in which they saw potential, which is why so many Prothean ruins were found so close to the homeworlds of various species. For most of the primitive races, little was done beyond observation and a periodic prodding in the right direction. But when it came to the Asari, the Protheans must have seen massive potential because a much more hands-on approach was taken with them. Not only did the Protheans give the Asari technology directly, they also interacted directly under the guise of the goddess Athame. Through Athame, the Protheans took an active role in guiding the Asari along their evolutionary path, even going so far as to genetically modify them in order to cultivate biotic abilities. When the Protheans finally left the Asari homeworld of Thessia, they left behind a beacon that the Asari continued to use, giving them a definite technological advance over the rest of the races of their time. The Protheans believed they were the strongest civilization right up until the Reapers knocked on their front door. Even though the Protheans knew of the Reapers and were taking steps to defend themselves preemptively, they weren't prepared for the swift ferocity that they faced. This was only made worse by their reliance on the Citadel, which turned out to be a Reaper construct, and mass relay connected to dark space. Yeah, you thought that relay statue on the Presidium was just for show, didn't you? That the sentient machines used to invade and immediately obtain all the data they needed to systematically wipe all spacefaring life from the galaxy. Thus began the slow, centuries-long extermination of the Prothean Empire. Protheans were either killed or indoctrinated, turning them into mindless slaves that after millennia of genetic modifications became the race known as the Collectors. The rest fought back rather impressively, but they knew it was only a matter of time. So the Protheans initiated a contingency plan. The research team on Ilos, a planet whose records the Reapers did not obtain from their attack on the Citadel, went into cryogenic stasis, hoping to wait out the extermination. There were other areas in the Empire where stasis pods were used in similar fashion, such as Eden Prime, but the team on Ilos were reportedly the largest group to do this. Unfortunately, the attack outlasted the Prothean power supply, and by the time the Reapers left the galaxy, only a few scientists were left alive. These scientists knew that they weren't enough to sustain the Prothean population, so they put out a distress call through the beacon network. The message beckoned any Protheans who may have survived to find Ilos, but also warned any future cycles about the Reapers. Finally, the scientists used the conduit, a small one-way mass relay constructed by their team on Ilos, to travel to the Citadel and adjust the station in such a way that would prevent the Reapers from using it as a mass relay. This marks the end of the Protheans. The Protheans were a proud civilization. They would assimilate any other culture into their own, whether the other culture liked it or not. Living by a Darwin-esque philosophy that the strongest will survive, their idea was that if any other race turned out to be stronger, the stronger race would take their place as the dominant power in the galaxy. Easy to say when nobody can beat you. After the Metacon War, the Protheans decided that artificial intelligence was never a good idea and would always try to overthrow its creator. This helped kick off their stance that all races should band together against machines. The Protheans were incredibly advanced technologically. This is evidenced not only by their creation of the galaxy-spanning beacon network, but also the conduit. The mass relays were constructed by the Reapers using technology far beyond any civilization that has come since. As far as we know, no race since then has been able to replicate the tech needed to make one, and yet the Protheans were able to put together the conduit, which is, in essence, a miniature mass relay. Their research into the massive advancement could be instrumental for future generations looking to expand their reach into the stars. It's been speculated that the statues seen on Ilos are actually of the Inusanen, who inhabited Ilos in the cycle before the Protheans came to power. Another theory is that since the Prothean Empire consisted of many species, all calling themselves Prothean, these statues could simply be one of those races. BioWare has confirmed that they were originally supposed to be Prothean statues, but since the design has changed so drastically over the years, many prefer the other two explanations. Jarvik, the Prothean squadmate in Mass Effect 3, mentions to you that staring contests were regularly used to pass the time in the Prothean Empire. Who says they don't know how to party? Even though they observed the primitive species of their time and planned to eventually offer them a place in their empire, the Protheans would often use many of these species as food, enjoying such delicacies as Salarian liver and boiled Hanar.
I prefer my Salarian liver served raw.
He is correct. It was a delicacy in our cycle.
So there you have it. The Protheans are every bit as fascinating as you'd expect, but only about half as fascinating as they probably think they are. Either way, a culture that was able to reproduce mass relay technology deserves a few bragging rights. What do you think of the Protheans? Are they important to history or just old news? No matter your thoughts on the matter, we'd love to hear them in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe to us here at MassEffectFollower. We'll see you in a future video. Goodbye.